Hello again and thanks for joining. So today I'm going to try and repair this pile of parts. It used to be a Piko model of a class 03 steam locomotive, and if you look at the end of the box here you can see it's made in GDR, and here's the part number as well. So it is an old model, this one, and it's certainly not fared that well, unfortunately. I do have a whole bunch of little parts there that are broken off it. Some of these might just go straight back on, but I do know we were missing one crucial part which often breaks on these Piko models. And it's this part here where the connecting rod connects up to here, and this part just always breaks, and it's a symptom of these models having plastic valve gear. And I just think that's a terrible decision that was made at some point, because now these become brittle and they just break off. But I've managed to actually source some parts. Now I actually got these from a UK supplier, and you know, if I was sponsored I would tell you who it was, but I'm not sponsored, so I'm saying nothing. It's good that I've got these parts. There's quite a few of them in this bag. I only need one, but I've got a selection here, so hopefully I'll be able to get this back together and get it working. So this is an old tender drive model. You can see the motor in here. It's quite a large motor, but we've got all plastic gears, and it's just driving the back wheels on this. And it seems to also pick up from these wheels too, although we do have pickup from the locomotive. And aside from being a bit bashed, this is actually a really nice model. It is all in plastic, but it does have a lot of detail. Look at all the pipework on the side of it, much of which has been moulded into the main piece of plastic, but done really well. But there's also additional pieces that have been added in too. So it really makes for an impressive looking model, but the fact that it's all made in plastic makes it incredibly brittle and easily broken. And this one has had a bit of a tough life as well, it looks like. Anyway, let's see if we can get this back together. So I'm just going to test the motor first by giving it some power. Just going to prod it with a couple of wires. I'm using my H&M controller on 12 volts DC to do this. Well, it looks like the motor works fine, which is great. No problems with the gearbox either. And also it looks like we're fairly clean on these two sets of wheels, because these are ones that are picking up. The other two sets are driving, and they've got traction tyres on them, which also look okay. So I think we've got away with it with the tender. So I'll put this to one side and we can focus on the loco. So I've just taken the main body off of the chassis. Now this is actually in not too bad condition. This part here is out of alignment. I think it just pops back underneath there somewhere. We do have lighting on the front of this locomotive, and there must be a bulb up inside here. We've got some contacts which are just little springs that connect onto the chassis, so it's picking up and sending power up to a light bulb inside the smoke box. And this is very heavy. It's got a piece of metal inside it. You can see a part of it there. So I'm not going to open this up because we don't need to. So I've just noticed that this part here is actually broken off as well. So I'm just going to glue that back on. And for that, I'm just going to use some normal Humbrol poly cement. Well, it's going to be a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. Got a lot of little pieces here, but no instructions. So let's see what we can do. I guess the first one is this little spring here, which obviously fits onto here and holds this part, which couples up to the tender. And it looks like this part here, which is at the back under the cab, this piece here fits into there. So this seems like a logical piece to kind of start with. So obviously this spring has fallen off before, and I think it might be these little hoops that have caused the problem. So I've just pushed them back in a little bit, hopefully closing up the gap, and I'll try and get this on now. So it looks like apart from this spring setup, there's nothing actually holding this back pony truck onto the chassis, because that just slots in there and it isn't being held by anything. So not really that great, but anyway, I think we've made progress at least. So this piece here looks as though it clips into the underside of the body, so I'm going to try and get this in here. Okay, that's that piece in. There's not much actually holding that in. It could come out quite easily, but yeah, okay, let's get on to the next bit. So on the chassis we have a problem here. This is the pickup, which should be running on the inside of this wheel here. It's obviously all bent up into here. This one also looks as though it's a little bit bent too, but at least it's on the wheel. So let's try and get these all sorted out. Okay, I've just tried to push all the contacts back onto these wheels. I don't think it's a really good setup. I'm not confident that that's actually going to pick up much power, but we'll see what happens. These ones incidentally don't pick up anything. I was wondering where this piece went, and I realised it actually just covers up this light part in here, but that's obviously meant I've had to take this piece off again, so I need to put it back together again. Okay, that's it back on again. So let's try and get the body back onto the chassis, and I need to put the springs in here and they marry up with these two holes here on the chassis. So that's going to be a bit tricky. Let's see what happens. Damn it. Okay, we're back together. Well, at least I think so. So now we need to get this piece out and replace it with the new part. Ah, it's a different colour. Well, at least it fitted okay. So it does look as though I've actually managed to fix this, which is quite surprising. But more so because I've still got all these little bits left over, so I'm not quite sure where they go. I'm guessing these vacuum pipes must fit on the front, so I'm going to give that a try. Well, looking good, but again, it was another super fiddly job to get those in. So this piece here looks as though it goes inside this slot here in the tender, and then this part clips into the locomotive. I can't see how to get this in here without actually taking this apart. So I've actually had to take the tender apart to this stage, and I think I'm just going to try and prise this part open at the front here and just get the thing slotted in here and then hope for the best. Well, with a bit of brute force I've managed to get that in, but really that's not a good fit and it just doesn't seem to work that well. Very strange. Anyway, let's get this tender back together. Okay, well, I think we're almost there, but I do have these three pieces. These two here, no idea where they actually go on this model, so if you know, let me know in the comments, but for now I'm just going to put them in a spares bag. And this part, which is a bit of checker plate, which I think is actually the foot plate, probably goes in here maybe, but it doesn't actually attach to anything. So again, I'm going to put that in the spares bag. So let's get these two clipped together and then we'll give it a try on the test track and we'll keep our fingers crossed that it'll actually work. Well, as normal, it's Hornby third radius track. I use this for all my testing and my trusty old H&M controller on 12 volts DC. So fingers crossed, let's give it some power and see what happens. Well, I'm really surprised this model goes at all, but you can see that when it's trying to go in reverse, it's just wheel spinning all the time. And I think it might need some new traction tyres on the tender, which is a bit annoying because we had it apart a minute ago. Okay, I had some in my spares box, so managed to get them on. Now I just have to put this all back together and put it back on the track again. Well, that seems to have done the trick. Now it runs perfectly in both directions and I'm actually quite surprised about that. It is really noisy, but it does actually work. And I'm still quite shocked that I've actually managed to fix this model. That said, no lights at the front are working, so I don't know whether the bulbs have blown or maybe just those dodgy little springs are not working that well. But I've certainly had enough of tinkering around with this model. This has taken absolutely hours to get to this stage. Anyway, let's put this on the scales and we'll check out how much it weighs. So this model comes in at 532 grams. So Piko's model of the Deutsche Reichsbahn Class 03 locomotive, well, it's been a bit of a labour of love, this one. I really like these models for the amount of detail that are on them. Okay, they're all plastic construction, but they've really gone for absolute incredible amounts of detail All the little pipe works and extras that have been added onto this model really make it stand out, and it looks great as maybe a display model, but as a robust model that gets used quite a lot, well, this isn't it. There's so many compromises here with how the chassis is attached to the body, and sure, it's clever how it all clips together and you don't need glue or even any screws, but I think that's what's letting it down a little bit here. It's just far too fragile, and as you saw, we had a bag full of parts, so we had to put it all back together. Yes, this is a second-hand model and it's been around for quite some time, made in the GDR, and it's probably hailing from the 80s, might even come from the 70s. I'm not 100% sure, and if you know, again, let me know in the comments. So I suppose it is faring not too bad, and it's only needed that extra spare part and some traction tires to get this going again. But there's no denying this is a fragile model, which really isn't for everyone. I think possibly as a display model this could actually work pretty well, but as a model that you intend to heavily use, well, it's probably not the best, and you might need to go for some other manufacturer. But that's just what I think. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this locomotive and also the repairs that had to be done to it. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. And thanks for watching. This is maybe only about a 10-minute video, but this has taken me a good few hours, and actually it took me almost a month to get the spare part as well. So definitely a labour of love. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
So model trains, model worlds, choo-choo, model trains, in tiny worlds, choo-choo, model trains, model worlds, choo-choo,